evening. Welcome to the Newfane Selectboard special meeting. It is Wednesday, January 29th, 2025, 6 p.m. We have Selectboard members Jeff Chevalier, Katie Johnson-Applin, and myself, Angela Litchfield, here. Juanetta, has the meeting been properly warned?
Yes, it has.
Great, thank you. Are there any additions or amendments to the agenda? Hearing none, we'll go right to new business, which is the town meeting articles, and it's specifically to the voter-backed petitions that we had discussed at our last meeting. I'll start off with saying that I was surprised that there was no one here at the select board meeting to discuss either of the petitions, and I'm sorry that no one got back to anyone regarding the decision that the select board had made. We decided to reject the petitions because we wanted to keep town meeting focused on our town issues and business. There is the opportunity, as always, to bring up the articles from the floor at the end of the town meeting when there's any other additional business. But at this time, I'd like to present Dan DeWalt, who requested a special meeting for the article that was brought before us, and I will let the floor go over to you, Dan.
Still with us, Dan?
I was at a Zoom meeting this morning and it cut out a couple of times during it.
Yeah, I've had a lot of connectivity issues today.
Dan, are you still with us? Good evening. Good, how are you? I'm gonna put you on speakerphone. We started the meeting. Yeah, I just started, so hold on. We now have Mike Fitzpatrick, select board member via phone. Dan, are you with us? Can you hear us? I'm not quite sure what to do at this point. So Mike, just to keep you updated, I called the meeting to order, asked if it was properly warned. No additions or amendments, and then I spoke as to what happened at the last meeting, that we denied both voter-backed petitions because we want to keep town meeting focused on town business, but that there is still an opportunity for any voter-backed petitions to be addressed on the floor at the end of the meeting when there's any other business to come before the town. So that's where we're at. We're waiting to hear from Dan DeWalt, who requested a special meeting to address the petition regarding Gaza.
Yeah, no, he called me the other day, so.
Yeah, I believe we all received a message from Dan.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why we're here, and we're just waiting for him to present.
He had like 100 signatures or something, so.
It had nothing to do with the signatures, it just had to do with the fact that we had talked about town meeting being for town business.
Right.
But,
So they can still get up at the floor then.
right. But this meeting is to change our articles that we have already voted on. So,
Right.
I'm not sure what is happening.
Who else is there? Anybody else there from it?
We have, is it Mary?
Yes.
Mary, we have Chris White, we have Stina Friend, we have Chris Mays from the Reformer, or personally, because he is a resident of the town of Newfane. I'm not sure if he's representing both or one or the other. And then it's me, Katie, Jeff, and Juanetta.
BCTV.
And BCTV.
Well, while we're waiting, we can read the petition to clue everyone in.
I will do that. This is one. So the petition reads, petition of legal voters of the town of Newfane to the select board. We, the undersigned registered voters of the town of Newfane, Vermont, hereby petition the select board to add the following advisory article to the warning for March 4, 2025 town meeting in Newfane. Shall the voters of the town of Newfane adopt the following pledge and instruct the town clerk to convey this message to the select board, state legislature, governor and lieutenant governor, and U.S. congressional delegation. We affirm our commitment to freedom, justice, and equality for the Palestinian people and all people, and we oppose all forms of racism, bigotry, discrimination, and oppression, and we declare ourselves to be apartheid-free community, and to that end, we pledge to join others in working to end all support to Israel's apartheid policies, settler colonialism, and military occupation and aggression. And we now have more folks.
Hi, Emmett.
Hi, Emmett. Chris White, you have a question?
I do. You said you tabled two voter backed petitions. The other one was about spraying in the sky.
Yes,
We have yours as well.
Okay. You and this one.
correct,
And you turned them both down.
correct.
Correct.
Why is this one coming back?
Because Dan DeWalt wanted an opportunity to speak upon this one, and he was not aware that it was going to be addressed at the last select board meeting.
Saying,
Right.
So,
It was not clearly recognized on the agenda. It was
Part of
included as part of the.
so we're here about the other one.
okay, we will address that one once we get done with this one.
That's fine. I was confused.
No, that's fine. They were both addressed during the administrative assistance report, and it wasn't listed on the agenda as a separate item. So we apologize. It should have been known to the folks that presented these petitions, articles, requests for articles.
I believe they were submitted the day of town meeting. I mean,
No, I submitted it way before the select board
oh,
meeting.
that, you did, yes, I'm sorry.
So in the future, all things shall be listed as items so that it's clear and people can be present to present
Yeah,
and speak upon the behalf of whatever they want to present.
so,
Many apologies. We're still waiting for Dan.
Emmett has his hand up.
Emmett?
Hi.
Hi.
Yeah, thank you so much for being willing to meet ad hoc like this. I guess I just wanted to share my perspective. I think I watched the video from BCTV of when you guys made the decision not to include this measure. And I think if the concern is that town meeting is for town issues, that should be decided by the voters. If this is something that resonates with the voters, then they'll pass it. If it's something that doesn't, then they won't. That's it,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Yes.
so do you want us to wait for Dan or should I go ahead?
You can go ahead.
All right, do I need a mic or something?
No, you're
Nope.
good.
Okay.
You're on camera.
Okay.
And liked.
My name is Mary Moriarty, and it is clearly the voters of Newfane are not going to resolve the crisis in Palestine. We know that. There's no dispute about that. But the case law for 17 VSA 2642 also makes clear that while the select board isn't required to add to the warning something that won't be binding on the town, they also have the discretion to do so. And it seems, as American citizens, we're necessarily citizens of a state and of a town, city or town. And in this town, the town meeting is our big, beautiful opportunity to raise matters of public concern. And the issue of Gaza and Palestine is a matter, for countless reasons, of public concern to people in this town. And moving it onto the agenda, moving it onto the warning for the meeting doesn't mean the select board agrees with it. It's more of a ministerial function, indicating that the formal requirements have been met for the petition. Number of signatures, it was submitted on time, et cetera, et cetera. On the other hand, saying we're not going to include it on the agenda or on the warning, really kind of, and I know, it can be couched in procedural terms and all that, but it really smacks of disapproval of the content of the petition and of kind of, putting your thumb on the scale a little bit instead of just sending it on. We've met the requirements for a petition. It's a matter of public concern. All of our tax money everywhere in Newfane and everywhere else throughout this country is funding this situation. And having it on the agenda gives the rest of the people, the voters in the town, notice that it's going to come up. And not that everyone's going to agree with our position, they may not, but they have a right to disagree and we have a right to have a robust debate about it. Having it omitted from the warning, on the other hand, makes it, people are going to be surprised, people aren't going to be ready, they aren't going to be able to be thoughtful about discussing the issue, and we'd like the debate to be as robust as possible. And we just think making it an official article on the warning is the right thing to do, and we would urge you to come down on that side of the issue of your discretion, exercise your discretion in that way. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And do we still not have Dan? I'm not sure what's happening on his side.
I only have an email for him, I don't have a phone.
I have a phone number for Dan. I can try to reach out.
That would be great.
Are there any other comments while we're doing that? Yes. Chris?
Of course. I understand that there are people that are concerned about this.
Hi Dan, it's Katie.
There are people who are concerned on both sides of the issue.
Hi Marcia. Are you having
I
trouble?
would agree with the select board, however, that is not town
Wonderful.
business.
Okay, how long
And
ago did he leave so I
for-
can guess the time? Okay, so we should speed him in.
Sorry.
5 or 10 minutes.
Sorry.
Great, thank you so much. Bye-bye. So yes, he is frozen and on his way here. He's about 5 minutes into his drive. We should see him within the next 10 minutes.
Great. I'm sorry, go ahead, Chris.
That's okay. I'm trying to bring back my train of thought.
Town business, I believe is the last thing I heard.
So, for the town to make statements by a majority vote that it supposedly represents the whole town about things that are not our business, I do have an issue with that. And I feel like, where does it stop? We're gonna have, there's lots of things around the world that we could petition to have a statement made. Where's the statement gonna be made? There's nothing that requires you, which we've learned in the past, for doing anything with it once it's been voted. You don't have to put it anywhere, you don't have to use it in any way. It just feels kind of useless.
Thank you. While we wait for Dan,
You want me to go ahead?
we're going to, since it's open for voter back petition, we're going to address, while we have the folks here for the other petition, while we wait for Dan, we'll go back to that one once he gets here. There was a second petition that we received that was also denied, and it said, "We, the undersigned legal voters of Newfane, hereby petition the select board of the town of Newfane, Vermont, to place the following articles on the warning for the annual town meeting to be held on the 4th day of March 2025. This petition is filed pursuant to 10 VSA 551-586 10 VSA Section 1250 through 1284, 17 VSA Section 2630-2682. We certify that we are presently voters of the town. The Articles 1 and 2 to be placed on the warning to read. Article 1, shall the Newfane Selectboard request the governor, Vermont governor, and legislature commit to and sign into law the following, quote, environmental preservation as enacted prohibits the intentional injection, release, or dispersion by any means of chemicals, chemical compounds, substances, or apparatus within the borders of this state into the atmosphere with the express purpose of affecting temperature, weather, or the intensity of the sunlight, end quote. Article 2 reads, shall the Newfane Select Board request the Agency of Natural Resources Department of Environmental Conservation, Drinking Water, and Groundwater Protection Division to modify the Environmental Protection Chapter 21 Water Supply Rule as follows. Quote, under 6.8, inorganic chemical monitoring requirements, add a new section, double quote, 6.8.2, all community public water system suppliers shall make yearly monitoring results available to their Vermont citizens for the following. Table 6-1, contaminant standards, Section 3, primary inorganic chemicals, barium, mercury, Section 8, radionuclides, stratonium, 6.13, secondary standards, Table 6-3, secondary contaminant standards, aluminum. So, that did not have, I believe, the required signatures to pass through as an article.
Okay.
23 registered voters.
Right. So that's specifically why that one is not. Would you like to speak on that? Hi, Dan.
No, because it's not gonna pass through.
Okay, but again, at the end of the meeting, when any other town
Right.
business comes before us, it can be presented and discussed and voted on at that time. So,
That's fair. Okay, thank you.
you're welcome. Thank you for being here. So going back to the other petition, now that Dan is here, we'd like to hear from you, sir.
I apologize.
Technology, you can't help it.
No, the video didn't want to work, and I thought, well, just try one more time, and I clicked to make the video
Thank you,
work, and
Chris. Thank you,
everything
Sienna.
disappeared. So I apologize for that.
That's okay.
So I'd like to address the points that you folks made about. First of all, when the motion was made at the last meeting, I looked at the. I don't know. Did you hear any of the stuff I had said before?
We didn't,
Okay.
we said, Dan, it's your turn to
No,
talk,
we
and
didn't
then
do
nothing.
Okay. Well, first of all, I really appreciate the fact that you listened to us and you took into account our request for a meeting. You didn't have to do that, and you did, and I appreciate that very much. And I regret that the holiday messed me up, Martin Luther King Day, and I lost track of where we were in a month. So I emailed, say, when's the meeting when you guys are going to do this, and it was already a done deal. So that was my fault. But I was surprised. Well, I don't need to go into that. So, with respect to the resolution itself, one of the first things mentioned was it was by Ann when she made the motion, was that it doesn't have to do with Newfane taxpayers. And I would beg to differ in that the literal tens of billions of dollars which we are spending federally to support this apartheid system and the occupation and invasion of Gaza actually does cost the taxpayers. That's real money that goes somewhere that could be very well going somewhere else, for instance, into our state coffers or whatever. So it is something that affects every taxpayer in the country. With respect to where, like, if you say, as other businesses that come before the town, that's just as good of a place to bring it up. However, that is deeply undemocratic and unfair to people who oppose this resolution. If you bring something up the last minute when everyone's left and you pass it, it gets put in the news as something is passed. In reality, it doesn't have the same value as something which is passed, which was warned on the meeting in terms of formal value. But in terms of actual word getting out like in the newspaper, oh, Newfane passed this thing against, And people are like, well, when was that? I wasn't like, I'm the person advocating for this amendment. But I'm also advocating for full public debate because the rest of Newfane may not agree with us on this. And I think the rest of Newfane deserves to have a chance to weigh in on it. And with respect to a debate, it's definitely a contentious issue. I will grant you that. However, we have shown time and time again in Newfane that we can have very contentious debates. We can advocate vociferously for our cause, and at the end of the debate, we shake hands, we get along with each other. I was on the opposite end last year of the debate with multiple people, all of whom I see on a regular basis, and all of whom had respect for me and for whom I have respect as well. So this is not something if there was not a good reason to have an article on a warning as opposed to just having it as other business come before the town, then they wouldn't have the mechanism. But there is a mechanism for citizens to bring business before the town that they believe are important. With respect to this particular petition, we presented this to 101 people and 99 signed it. 2 of those people were not registered voters and 1 person was a day late. But that's a lot of people. So we didn't have to go through all the town to just barely get our 86 votes. The first batch of people we just went down the road. So this is clearly an issue which weighs as an important issue in people's minds. And we have proven ourselves to be capable of civil debate. We have proven ourselves when we pass a resolution, in case you forgot, Newfane did vote to impeach a couple of, George W. Bush and Dick Cheney. And obviously they were never impeached. And impeachment now is a thing of the past, apparently. But what it did do is, I literally heard from people across the world, internationally, saying, we had given up on America, and then we read about your town, and we read about some other towns, and it gave us faith that at least all the American people are not with this particular government, in that case, the George W. Bush and the war in Iraq. This particular assault on Gaza and the continuing occupation and the apartheid system, which we are abundantly supported and with materially and with money, is abhorrent to American principles that we espouse. It's abhorrent to our own morality. And if we were to simply allow it to be and think that we can't raise our heads, because town meeting day is the one day of the year, unless we have a special town meeting, it's the one time of the year that we are a true legislative body. We make the law, we actually legislate. We're not advising, we're not rubber stamping, we're actually legislating. We have a tiny modicum of power that day to express ourselves. Now this is simply a resolution of expression. It's not a resolution that, when we put the hammer down and say we vote yes, unfortunately, I don't think the powers that be in Washington are going to change anything. However, we have had an opportunity to speak and let ourselves be known that no, we do not go along with this. We do not countenance this. And even though we have very little power, we will do whatever we can have in our power to ensure that we are not part and parcel of this and we're not culpable as being part of it. And I think that's a really important tool for us to use, and it's an important right. And if we lose the right to bring resolutions to town meeting, even ones that are controversial, town meeting is already a sort of we've lost local control on certain budgetary items, certain school items. So town meeting is less of an institution than it was in the past. And I think that when we have a resolution which is controversial, it brings people to town meeting. And then they come to town meetings like, oh, what about the grader? Or what about, the town business too? The town benefits from having people come to to the town meeting in numbers. And we have dwindling numbers. So I think in terms of true democracy, this is actual true democracy as opposed to the republic and the representative democracy we have elsewhere. This is actually the only true democracy little nugget in the country is our town meeting, New Hampshire's town meetings, and I'm not sure how Massachusetts work. So we are a model of something which our nation is supposed to be aspiring to. And I think that we should be allowed to exercise our rights under that model. And I think it's an honor and a privilege to do so. And I think it causes great damage to the town and to the sake of democracy if a select board decides that something is just not the right kind of issue. I mean, the people can decide that at town meetings. That's what it's for. People can say, you know, last year someone objected, they didn't want to have a debate at all. And so we had a vote and we decided to have a debate. You know, that's where that process takes place. And I respectfully disagree that I understand that you have the right, and it's probably by state statute or something to deny. But when select boards who are representative of the people take it upon themselves to stifle the wills of the people, and this is, we made a good faith effort knowing that Newfane has a track record of accepting citizen participation. And we went out and we found 99 people to sign a petition, 96 of which were good signatures, and we presented to you in good faith. And I definitely planned to come to that meeting, but I also didn't worry too much because I thought our select board honors the work that we do as citizens and as part of building our democracy and advocating for a cause. So I think I've spoken enough.
Thank you, Dan.
Thank you.
Anyone have any comments?
I would only add that as far as the George Bush and Cheney piece, on my first trip to England in 2004, in the fall of 2004, even though none of them had been to America, they all knew about Newfane because they had read about it in the BBC, which was kind of remarkable to me. And then I was there during the second election for Bush and watched the reaction of all of Europe in every headline. And that was very interesting and very formative for me as a 23-year-old person spending a solid amount of time, the equivalent of a semester outside of the country for the first time in my life. It was eye-opening. And I made a promise to myself to never let the wool get pulled back over my eyes and be in this insular bubble that is American media. Thank you.
So to this petition, any comments? Thank you.
I'll let general discussion go first.
General discussion, Jeff? Mike? Jeff?
I will bring up, I did sign the petition. If you put a petition before me saying that I stand against apartheid and I stand against oppression of people, I will sign it. I can't in good conscience not sign it. As a select board member, I feel like we did this last year, and I don't feel like the townspeople are now in a position where they embrace apartheid and the oppression of people. So I think it passed last year. For me, it seems a little performative to do it again. So that's why I decided that we probably did not need to put it on the warning for this meeting. But
Thank you.
that's just where I stand.
Thank you. Mike?
I think the only thing I really get to think about it was, I mean, you said that this is all going to be brought up at the end of the meeting no matter what, right?
Yeah, it's because it was denied as an article, it can still be brought up as other business brought to the town at the end of the town meeting.
So which probably it will be. And, same like we've seen on them, Chris and them. I guess probably, in one sense, the way I kind of look at things like this, like you said, you did have quite a few people signing that, is, it's a non-binding thing. If you put it there as an article, so when people did come there, they know what they're discussing. They've already seen a little bit about it, instead of just at the end of the meeting, somebody gets up and starts talking about it, and really nobody's got a clue of what they're looking at. I can see putting it as an article that way. So at least at the end of the meeting, people want to discuss it, they can. And you kind of got some way of got an idea of what you're going to be talking about.
Thank you. Dan?
Last year, the resolution was about a ceasefire.
Right.
Right.
This year is a bigger, is a resolution about the state of affairs, the state of the ongoing oppression and apartheid. And the citizens of Newfane are not engaging in that apartheid. And we're saying we're a non-apartheid town. the citizens of Newfane are being asked to say, we are not in favor of this, continuing to support this. So this is an entirely, it's of the same subject, it's of the same geographical area. It's a different topic, it's a different ask entirely.
Okay.
I would say, perhaps in the same vein that we take the time to list every single appropriation so that we can discuss them, where we could just have them as a bulk number that is given to the town to decide. And the only thing that we do as the select board is make sure that they have their I's dotted and T's crossed before approving and allowing them as articles. Maybe we should reconsider allowing it as an article because they have their I's dotted and T's crossed.
So, we have already made a motion and approved our articles for town meeting. So this would need a new motion with an amendment, correct? To add another article, is that correct, Lana?
You would make a motion to override your previous decision. So by incorporating it into your motion.
But it would be a motion to amend what we've already approved and add an article.
Mhm.
Is there a motion?
I make a motion.
Oh, sorry, one at a time.
Go ahead, Mike.
What's that?
Is there a motion to make an amendment to include this article as part of our articles for town meeting?
Yeah, I'll make a motion to do that.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Any further discussion?
I would propose that this article be placed after the social appropriations
At the very
at
end?
the very end.
It's Article 39.
Article 39, correct.
Any other conversation?
Do you wanna put that on the seniors and mayors down there too?
No, they can't because they did not have the required amount of signatures.
Alright.
So they can bring theirs up at the floor if they feel so inclined. If there's no other discussion, we are ready to vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Mike?
Yeah, I said aye.
Oh, I didn't hear you, sorry. Opposed, abstained? Ayes have it. So with that being said, Juanetta will need to redo the articles and send it out for another review. Unless it's done before tonight.
I could do it lickety split.
I can't stay tonight, I would have to electronically sign it tomorrow, but that's fine.
I would only delete the other two because I've already.
I would prefer it if you would email it to everybody so we can proofread it one more time and then everybody sign it tomorrow at their earliest convenience.
Fantastic.
And then if you can email it to Anne for signature. Mike, can you stop in tomorrow to sign? Thank you. With that, is there any other business to come before the town this evening?
No, thank you.
Thank you. If not, is there a motion to adjourn?
I make a motion.
Thank you, Katie. Thank you, Mike, for being here. Thank you, everyone, for being here. It's always a pleasure.
Thank you all.
Have a good evening. And you're right in time to get to your next meeting, Dan.
Yeah, the Zoom can fill it out too.
Might as well just go there.